From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Why are you a conspiracy theorist? And I said, why isn't everybody a goddamn conspiracy theorist?
This is the real research. Literally have an alien base, and they are literally communicating.
I don't have a whole lot of time.
Have you personally had any experience with interdimensional beings?
What we're thinking of as aliens, they have infiltrated a lot of aspects of military intelligence. And they are not what they claimed to be.
We leave you much that is undone.
That's one small step for man.
There are great ideas undiscovered.
Visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars.
Remove one of truth's protective layers.
There's a monolith.
They want the major population centers wiped out.
Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
One giant leap for mankind.
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
Those challenges are yours.
We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
There are places to go beyond belief, beyond belief.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Conspiracy Podcast. We don't take days off because reptilians don't take days off. And I am honoured today to introduce Mark Sargent to our podcast yet again. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys so much for having me. And by the way, great intro. I always enjoy intros where I'm looking at the imagery. You know, that's pretty fast editing you've got going on there. And I'm going, I think I got all of it. I may have missed a slide or two, but the rest of it's like I understand every one of those references, and I could do a thing on probably all of them. So it's great.
Did you spot Aleister Crowley?
I did. Well, I'll never miss the Aleister Crowley thing because my my ex co-host Karen B, she had tattoos on her hands, and I always joke you should do the Aleister Crowley pose and put your hands together, and maybe we'll get you one of those funny hats to wear on the top. And it's also kind of a pose that Keanu Reeves did in Constantine at the end when he was facing off against Gabriel. He did that whole pose. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the celebrities do that.
Yeah.
Pose it seems to be a trend.
There are a number of trends, the rituals, you know, got to go along, get along, that sort of thing.
So how you been, Mark? You still flat earther? Still there?
Man.
You've not been turned by.
Oh, you mean like others? No. After 10 years, I can honestly say no. And I'm still going strong. They can take. I'll mix some stuff. They can take flat Earth when they pry it from my cold dead hands. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm about. I'm never ever, and they can't get to me. I've said this on a couple. I've named because people have been asking me questions about recent events that have been happening in the flat Earth community, and I said no. There's no leverage you have on me. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing for me that would make me happier than to become a martyr for the cause. So come get me. Seriously. See, I've told everybody in advance, if I disappear for some reason, you'll know why. But I don't think they will.
Well, I know you've had stick for years, haven't you, with certain people saying that you were like controlled opposition, within the community, right, and stuff like that. I can't help but feel that if you were controlled opposition, you might have found yourself in Antarctica.
Oh yeah. That sticker, that shill sticker. Thank you, Eric DeBay. He was the one that put it on 10 years ago. It's like, oh, that Mark, you can't trust him. And then all these people, we can't trust Mark, to the point where, remember the first conference, there was like 150 seats in the back that were completely paid for. Nobody was sitting in them because there's no refund policy. Why? Because Eric told ODD to tell anyone that bought tickets not to go to the conference. And I was part of the reason why, because it's like, oh, no, I'm a government agent. After what's happened over the last 3-4 months, if that sticker hasn't come off me now, then whoever says that I'm a shill, you're idiots. Because now we actually have legitimate, bona fide, put it in a certificate you can frame, shills in the community. paid for, compromised, turned, whatever you want to say. And no, I am not one of them, to your point, because I didn't do anything that they did. In fact, I still stand against them. I gave them a couple of them the benefit of the doubt for a little while, but God, no, not now.
Did they invite you to Antarctica?
Yes. And insultingly, fairly late in the game, by the way. I was a little surprised. They wanted David Weiss. That's the guy they want to get in because they want that app gone. The app has been ripping it up, doing all sorts of great stuff. And it's really deep. I mean, there's a lot of content in that app and it links to a lot of things. David's team has done a great job. They wanted David. And when David didn't go, they were willing to settle for other people. And in this case, Jaron was a decent choice. And let's talk about it for a second. It was the running joke behind the scenes in the community for years, by the way, which was because we always thought it's like, okay, has anyone gotten offered money? Has the briefcase been put in front of you? And we're like, we joked about who would take it, who would take the bribe, right? And always at the top of the list, the biggest suspects were Robbie Davidson and Jaron. It's like, oh yeah, they'll take it. Well, it wouldn't even be hard. And 9 years later, can I prove it? No, I can't. Do I care? No, I can't, because the way he flipped gave people whiplash. It was so blatant. Absolutely.
That was wild. Sorry. Like, no. We'll talk about Vic.
Well,
I find it really interesting.
So the best we can tell, the timeline, you have to go back a few years, because initially we know that Jaron's been compromised for at least a year, since May of 24.
Why is that for our audience? Because not everybody in our audience is a flat earther. So why is he being compromised?
Well, because you had to get him before the trip. So in the beginning of the early part of 24, that's when the whole TFE thing started, the final experiment. Will Duffy, a pastor who, again, you can look it up, this is not secret information, who is under multiple lawsuits for SEC violations and financial fraud, right? He's going to be sued in the ground. There's real prison time looking at him. But for some reason, he became a pastor dedicated to going after flat Earth. It's like, what? Well, you should be losing sleep over going to prison. Why the hell do you even care? And plus he had access to resources we couldn't even figure out, because Antarctica, as you guys know, is not a cheap trip. It's 35 grand a head to pull this off. It's one of the most expensive places to go in the world for whatever reason. And it's no frills on top of it. It's not like 35 grand and you're staying at, a really nice hotel somewhere. You're sleeping in a tent on the snow and you have to take a crap in a bucket that's frozen. It's bad, right? And so what was happening was they were inviting people and no one was going. No one wanted to go. And then all of a sudden, Jaron decides to sign on. And he says, well, I want to take somebody else with me. And then Austin signed on with him. I'm still in Austin's camp. He hasn't been making a lot of videos recently, but at least he's not doing what Jaron did. The point was that you had to turn, and the only reason TFE, the only reason Antarctica, the trip even had happened, was you needed an event as a placeholder to give whoever you were going to flip a reason to flip, right? Because you couldn't just have Jaron come out at the end of the year and be like, well, I'm a globe now. I'm into the globe stuff. It's like, why? For what reason? It's even though Antarctica was a complete BS reason, it had nothing to do with Jaron's wheelhouse, most of it, which was debunking the space programs. And that was Jaron's specialty. Was he attacks NASA he practically wrote the book on attacking NASA and SpaceX and Blue Origin, any of that crap, right? And he comes back, he goes, does the trip, says the awkward lines on the snow, and then comes back, and within a couple weeks, he's like, oh no, watch this SpaceX launch. SpaceX totally legit, and proves the globe. It's like, what are you talking about, man? You're Jaronism. I go, you can't just turn on a dime. You've spent the last 9 years destroying space agencies, and now all space agencies are legit? No, not buying it for 1 second.
Yeah, and everybody, some of the great stuff that he did with the debunks that he did with the ISS, like still now you look at them, so he's done a U-turn on that as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's again one of the founding members of Globebusters, and he thinks everything about space is completely legit. The warm up after he came back was what didn't even exist, and that's how you know. That's one of the big red flags. Is there was no transition period; it just happened. And in all aspects simultaneously, which is why I throw at people. I go, what has Antarctica got to do with physics, the curve of the Earth, and every space program that is out there? Nothing. So, and which was again, the other thing was if 1%, not even 1% of people get into flat Earth because of any aspect of the sun, how are you getting out? And again, it wasn't Jaron's thing. What was interesting though wasn't just Jaron; it was what happened after Jaron, right after Jaron, with people that weren't even related to Jaron's wheelhouse, which was Patricia Steere, Robbie Davidson, and Paul on the Plane, otherwise known as Paul Lindbergh. Because like Patricia, when Jaron, I knew there was something going on because remember, Patricia came back and was co-hosting. She had been co-hosting with me on Strange World for the last 9 months. She had taken a hiatus and then just came back out of the blue. It's like, hey, you want to get the band back together? Yeah, sure. Why not? Why people are going, weren't you suspicious? I go, sure, but what am I supposed to think? It's Patricia Steere. I've known her for years. It's like, what the hell happened? Jaron did that SpaceX video, and all of a sudden I get this message from Patricia saying, okay, and so out of character. She's like, you really need to watch the Jaron video on the SpaceX. I really think there's something going on. Oh yeah, and by the way, I don't think we should use the AE map anymore or advertise David Weiss's app on Strange World anymore. I mean, she's throwing bam, all this stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? Where the hell did this come from, right? And I said no, and no. And the next thing you know, we do episode 500. I don't know if you follow the show at all. We did episode 500 was 500 weeks later. We do a show. Patricia, everybody dresses up. DJ and Patricia and I, and we have Stephen Carpenter from the Deftones, and Karen B was on there. Everything was great, absolutely flawless. Couple days later, barely a couple days later, Patricia sends me this generic post on Telegram, or maybe it was Skype chat. I can't remember. I've got it somewhere, where she goes, "Hey, just so you know, Jaron was pretty much right about everything. I'm leaving Strange World. I'm leaving the community, and you should read this letter on air. Goodbye." And it's like, what? And she signs it her full name, Patricia Steere. Known her for 10 freaking years. She signs a breakup letter, her full name. And so it tells me I should read it on air. In fact, very insistent about me reading it on air. And then a day later, Robbie Davidson does almost the identical thing. In fact, cuts and pastes sections from Patricia's letter into his goodbye letter on the internet. It's like, okay, so these two are talking to each other because it was verbatim. And then a day later, Paul on the Plane, who wasn't even in the community, he had been off doing his own thing with his family for 3 years. He comes out of the woodwork. And I'm going, what the hell is going on? And then Karen had to remind me. She's going, oh yeah, do you remember when the three of them were doing that crypto thing back in the day? And I'm going, wait, that channel's still up? And then I started doing some digging, and then everything kind of fell into line, which was, it started way before Will Duffy. And again, it was just bad choices and bad timing, where Patricia and Paul and Robbie were selling crypto on a channel on YouTube, and I've got the screenshots. It's not like you could go back in the Wayback Machine. It's not like you can hide anything. Called Axion, AXION, and they sold it from the end of 20 or the middle of 2020 to the beginning of 2021, and then they stopped selling it because, well, it was an unsecured crypto. It's illegal. And they actually said, it's like, yeah, so we're not doing this anymore, blah, blah, blah. They put this big mission statement. I'm fully happy to send it to you guys. And so it looks like they got caught, and then they were put on the back burner as possible assets for 3 years until they could figure out what to do. And then they activated them. And between Duffy and Jaron and they all kind of got involved, bit players together. And then they all left at the same time and all made quick little statements. And in fact, we've never seen Patricia or Robbie or Paul on camera since episode 500 of the thing. And to make matters worse, just as a little insult jab. So I've been talking about this on various interviews like I'm doing now. And all of a sudden I get a cease and desist letter if you guys know what those are over where you are.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, the lawyers shot across the bow from Robbie and Paul and Patricia saying, I should not be saying that they did anything suspicious. I should remove anything implying that they did anything suspicious. And they want an apology video put on my channel to remain there forever. And it's like, okay, first of all, you're asking for silly shit. And the second is you can't just the fact that you're saying I shouldn't say that you're acting suspicious in legal terms in itself is suspicious.
It's
like
to say the least. My
ex co-host has lawyered up because, hey, I think you're doing some weird stuff over there, and that's actionable. No. And so I was begging them on air. I said, and plus not only that, I was telling them that they were acting suspicious on top of pointing fingers at, you know, Logan Paul, because, you know, he crashed one of our conferences in Denver. And then Jimmy Kimmel from the late night show, he sent a team over to the Dallas thing and they had referenced it in the legal thing. It's like, okay, well, now you've turned it potentially into a celebrity trial. Are you really seriously about going to court with, I'm not kidding you, a celebrity freedom of speech, flat earth court case? You realize how ridiculous that sounds on paper. There isn't a judge in this country that wouldn't look at that and break out in a sweat, because like, how would we even touch this? How do you even select a jury for something like that? So yeah, if they want to sue me, please do. Please. I would love to go to court. Love to. We'd
love to cover it, you know?
It would be a circus. I mean, you'd have to call, again, think about this, Logan Paul into court as a flat earth witness, because he was, I don't remember, Logan Paul, one of the worst internet trolls ever, or Jimmy Kimmel's team, or hell, Howard Stern sent a team to our first conference in Raleigh. I have to bring him in now, you know, to do a comparison. It's like it writes itself. It would give us so much publicity, and ever since that cease and desist letter, I've heard nothing from them. So, yeah, thank you for proving me right on that one, guys.
Wow.
Did you entertain going at all?
Did I entertain what?
Did you entertain going to to Antarctica when the call came?
God, no. No. In fact, I said on air that there's several reasons why. I mean, the only reason I would even begin to think about it is it's a cool thing to put on your bucket list, which is, well, I mean, it's a free $35,000 trip, right? You know, to a place that nobody goes. So why the hell not? Right. And I'm sure that's what Austin and Lisbeth were thinking as well. It's like, why the hell not? Even though it looks, and every piece of footage I saw, it looks absolutely miserable. Beautiful, yes, but it is. I mean, there's a reason why it's an awful trip. But no, and the biggest reason is like, and I told Will Duffy this on air. You know, not directly. I just did a podcast. I go, look,
you're not going to get murdered.
Well, there's that, but no, I wasn't worried about that. It was, you're not going to get the reaction that you want from me, which is, I don't care. I go, the 24-hour sun means, and I've addressed the 24-hour sun for years and years. I mean, I didn't lose a wink of sleep. I lost more sleep over the Patricia thing than I did the 24-hour sun. So I would have gotten down there and be like, yeah, 24-hour sun. National Geographic guys who have been here and seen it, guys I trust, told me there's a 24-hour sun. It's like, well, doesn't make any difference, because in our model, we can't prove anything. We have no idea what's happening with the sun, really, or what's happening with the sky at all. So why would it have any effect on me? And again, what I said before, which was most people, 75% of the people that get into flat earth is mostly because of long distance photography. You know, it's things off in the distance, you know, all the people that ran to the beaches everywhere and started shooting lighthouses and boats and crap like that. And then contacted me, because I never even said that in the clues. It's like, oh yeah, water lays flat. I go, didn't even think about that. So no, TFE was never going to be a thing for me. And I'm glad it happened, because it generated, we were getting a little bit stagnant, and now there's this surge of drama behind the scenes to where it's not over. There's a documentary that Will Duffy's group is putting together. That's again, where the funds coming up, I don't know. I mean, what they spend, pushing 300,000 on the trip? Where the hell did that money come from? Exactly. You telling me it came from a pastor that's being sued for financial fraud? Really? He's going to fork over that sort of money to get it
what the
going?
weird thing is?
Sorry, go ahead.
Who's it for?
Well, that's just it.
Who's the customer?
Yeah. Well, you'd think that, again, it's not to make money. We'll know when it gets distributed, but it still has to be good. You can make a hit piece all you want, but it has to be something that an audience is willing to watch. I mean, the reason why, even though Behind the Curve was a hit piece, it was compelling in that it had, your heroes and your villains. It was a back and forth. You had flat earthers, and then, psychologists, scientists, astronauts, it was a back and forth. It was fairly well balanced, even though, the flat earthers didn't like it because we didn't want, Scott having an American astronaut drove us insane. Will they release it? I've seen the trailer. Have you guys seen the trailer for it yet?
No.
I'll send it to you after this. I mean, right now, all the trailer pieces, every single lick of footage is shot in Antarctica, which is not what you want to do. Antarctica is a very stark background, and it's like, just snowy backgrounds. People don't want to watch that for a couple hours. It's not going to work. Plus the plot line, it's like, okay, one side you have people that hate flat earthers because they bought dedicated flat earth trolls to represent, down there, including like McToon and guys like that, and Dave McKeegan. But then the other side is, and then we're going to have flat earthers that used to be flat earthers, but now they hate flat earth. It's like, okay, where's the balance here? And then try to treat flat earth as a cult and say that we, went after Jaron and attacked his character. And it's like, if you guys heard rumors about his extracurricular activities, it's like, yeah, we didn't have to. By the way, which is why, sorry, back up just a second, why the cease and desist letter, why Jaron's not on it. And I do get a kick out of this. Don't get me wrong. Jaron and I never had a problem until TFE. I'm sorry, Jaron, that you got caught up in this. He and I have never had a bad word between each other. But now he thinks I'm the worst guy in the world for whatever reason. But at the same time, I got to take a shot and be like, okay, why isn't your name on the cease and desist letter for the defamation case? Oh, that's right, because you can never sue anyone for defamation of character because your character's already wrecked because of what you did, in the back channels. And by that, I mean things we probably shouldn't talk about. He sent pictures and videos to people of himself, and it wasn't good. And he said to a lot of people, it's all, if it ever gets out, if he ever becomes famous, it'll turn into like that Tiger Woods cocktail waitress thing, if you remember that from back in the day. So
yeah, I mean, a little bit, yeah.
Extras.
And anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So you sent that many pictures that you could fill a magazine with them.
Well, again, and I'm not going to be delicate here. Screw it. It's not pictures. It's like, hey, you like what you see? I'm just going to send you a full video of things I do in my spare time by myself. And it's like, what are you doing, man? You're married with kids. It's like, yeah, she might be okay with it, but you're sending this to a lot of people. And he's been doing it for years. And I didn't know how bad it was. We always knew. We had always heard. It's like, yeah, you're proud of what you got. I get that, right? It's like, yeah, right, fine. But we thought you'd just do the standard stuff. We didn't think he was going to go full out, it's like wannabe porn star. Like, come on. So yeah, he can never be brought into court because that would come out so quickly. And again, kind of like the cocktail waitresses, if you remember the Tiger Woods thing. Once the first cocktail waitress came out, it's like, oh yeah, I slept with Tiger Woods. They all started coming out. It's like, oh, I want a piece of that action. I was surprised how many women started coming forward and saying, oh, Jaron, let me tell you about Jaron. It's like, oh, God, dude. So anyway, I hope it goes well for him in the end. I hope it was worth it. And I don't blame him. Look, people got bills to pay. It's all about the rent. And I knew full well years ago, I was like, someone was going to take the money. What surprised me is how long it took for them to offer us the money. And I still think part of it was tied to the other organization and the crypto thing that Patricia and Robbie and Paul. By the way, also the common denominator between those three was they were all out of the game. Patricia had left. She got in a fight, with some of the Flat Earth members because of the whole Antonio thing over in the UK years ago. Robbie Davidson was kind of benched by the Flat Earth because we didn't like what he was doing at the conferences, notably allowing big time celebrities to come in and troll us, like Logan Paul and Jimmy Kimmel. And then Paul on the plane, he had left because he wanted to focus more on his family. He was like, he lost his enthusiasm. He was like, yeah, I'm going to keep the channel out there, but I'm going to do other things. So the three of them hadn't been relevant for several years. So
this is one of the odd things about it. And people that listen to this episode that also listen to the episode we did with Hibble the other day, will know about the final experiment because we talked about it.
Right.
But when he was talking about what he think went down, I told you this before we started recording, Mark. I clipped it and put it up as a short on YouTube. It's been up for like 2 days. I got a message today saying it was gone. And I thought, and at first I thought, was there something copyrighted in it? And then I thought, no, we didn't play any clips on that show. And when I opened the app to look at it, YouTube told me this clip doesn't exist anymore because I took it down. I've never had anything like that happen. I've never had that happen with a podcast, never had that happen with a YouTube video or anything like that. And it says, I even just, while you were talking then, to make sure I was right, I just checked the app again to make sure it said this was taken down by the original poster.
Go ahead.
But I was just going to say that as far as the final experiment goes and stuff like this, like you said, things were getting a little bit stagnant. The flat Earth thing kind of died down and stuff like that. Why now? It feels like a strange thing to do right now.
Yeah, I think it's part of me thinks because we have so many different agencies in the United States, and I mean other countries have it too, but ours overlap, and sometimes they don't. There's jurisdictional issues, and everybody doesn't talk to everybody else. So I think if the SEC got tied in because of the crypto thing with three of our members, because with any law enforcement, you know how it goes. He hit people, and if they're high profile enough, it's like, yeah, maybe we can use them as something. And in this case, they're going down the list because they're wiping out this whole crypto thing. They're going after as many people as they can. And in this case, it's like, hey, these three people here, they're social media people. And that lady right there, she was in a Netflix thing. It's like, maybe we can use something there. So what I'm getting at is maybe the different agency with more money and more assets, or maybe they were talking to each other, somebody at a high, because all it takes is one meeting, some think tank, and then somebody comes up, it's like, yeah, we got some flat Earth assets, blah, 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 to work with. And someone goes, wait, flat Earth, that's still a thing? I thought we were trying to get rid of that. And it's like, okay, we're going to spend some money. Let's see if we can disrupt these guys. And these are old tricks, which is you infiltrate and you hit them from within. The community is still very, very tight, but the people you hit were influential. I mean, come on, you got two people from the documentary, the Netflix documentary to mess with. Robbie Davidson was in it, but he wasn't a major player, and that influences other people. So why now? Hard to say what meeting inspired that. But in the process, they also realized something which I've known for a long time, which is the producer's motto, which is it doesn't matter whether you love or hate a topic as long as you're talking about the topic. And so if you're attacking flat Earth, you're engaging flat Earth. And so it's a weird, delicate line to balance. So even though I know they want this documentary to be successful, it's a double-edged sword. Because you wanted to have some social media presence, but if it gets too much, then it's that whole thing again, kind of like back in 2015, 2016. It's like people are talking about it. So if everyone's talking about it, we should talk about it too. And then next thing you know, every podcast and big channel in the world covers it. It's going to be tricky for them to do. I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary. It's going to be a piece of crap, especially if you're trying to, sorry, one more thing, because I love good storytelling. You're going to make Jaren the hero in this. He's going to be the protagonist. Please make him famous, please, because it will end. It will end so gloriously. It will end badly, and he knows why. He's probably scared to death, dude. If you become famous because of this, absorb every 15 minutes of it, because after that, it is going to come down hard. Because not because of what we did, but because of what you did. We're blameless. It's like, what do you expect us to do? It's already being shared everywhere. The only reason it hasn't got more traction is your fame level hasn't hit that point. Once it hit that point, hey, guess what? TMZ, that's where you're going to go after that.
I'm going to say this is not breaking news. This is something it's out there in the community.
Oh yeah, no,
literally.
It's being shared all over the place anyway right now, and the only reason it hasn't got more popular is because Jaron's not at that stage yet. But you know how it goes when a celebrity reaches a certain point, any dirt or skeleton, it's coming out, and it's. Again, I'm kind of waiting with bated breath. Part of me wants the documentary to come out and tank, but part of me wants it to be successful. So we'll see.
Do you because way back when you had Bob Bigelow that put a lot of money into looking at Skinwalker, looking into UFOs and all that. Is there anybody in the flat Earth community with like that sort of power that wants to put more research and funding into finding out more about where we live?
Not publicly. Most of, and I've been
you don't have to name names.
No. Well, that's just it. The 90% of our community is still in the closet for various reasons. In fact, I just did a special. Here's a great example. Just last weekend I went to Chicago for a private, secret flat Earth meeting with a diehard show listener, who had more resources, who's more well respected in the community. I can't tell you what he does. I can't tell you who he is. And I run into that more and more because the more of a normal, the higher you go on the ladder, the more you have to risk, which is why you hear when celebrities come out, especially with flat Earth, like Kyrie Irving, a great example. When he came out, he had nothing to lose, just won his championship. He was 23, 24. LeBron James, best friend. It's like, yeah, you can't touch me. Yeah, you can, because you only won the title this year. Once that shine wears off, we're going after you. And they went after him, or rapper B.O.B. or all the other celebs that are on the list. One of my favorite things, you guys, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, Kelsey Grammer. I love telling that story because I got to hang out with him. He wanted to produce a show, and he told me he could not get and he had totally the funds to do it. He wanted to do sort of a fringe conspiracy type television series, and he could have absolutely have fronted for it and gotten the funding for it. That's not the problem. The problem is who's going to run it. Who's the distributor going to be? What network is it going to be on? Even with his clout, even with his pull, you're talking about a guy who at one point was the highest paid television star in the world, and he still couldn't, even with his connections, he couldn't get the networks to even really talk about the idea. It's like, why not? He was even willing to narrate it, and they couldn't do it. So it's tough to find those people that are willing. I'll give you one more. Television actor. Again, not going to tell you what series he was on. Got to meet him when I was going down to Shane Dawson's studio to shoot with his brother, and Patricia and I were there with David Weiss. And David knows this guy. He had worked with him over in the past, and he sat there and watched the interviews. And afterwards, I came up, shook his hand, and he looked at me before he left, and he goes, "Just so you know, I was never here." And he turns around and he walks out the door, and I asked David, he goes, "Yeah, you can't talk about him. he's anonymous." He goes, "Like a lot of people." So sorry, long answer to a short question. We got people that can do stuff, but willing to put themselves on the line, to get out there, that's tough. It's tough to do. It's not how the game works.
Crazy, you can be a Scientologist, but you can't be a flat earther.
Yeah, right. I don't know how to explain it, or even.
Not that I have anything against Scientologists. Just for the record, we love them, really, we do. But yeah, I mean,
you can be a lot of things, but flat Earth, because it is ingrained into our education system at such a young age, it's still considered. It's beyond fringe. It's like, oh, you're obviously nuts, or you're kidding, right? Which is why the first sentence of my flat Earth clues was your first impression is going to be it's a joke, and it's not a joke. But that's the or hell, real quick, the Behind the Curve documentary. I sat in studio audiences in different cities. And the first 20, 25 minutes of didn't matter what audience I was sitting in, they didn't think it was a real movie. They thought it was a piece of what we call docufiction, which is people are playing it straight, but it's, you know, but it's a science, it's a fake topic. It's still scripted. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know, they're showing clips of what's happening out in the world, and they're going, wait a minute, this isn't a fake movie. This is a real movie. Right. And they're like, I can see him elbowing the people next to him. It's like, dude, I think this is real. And like, there's this this eye open. It's like, there's something, there's a section of the internet that I know nothing about. And it's freaking me out, man. Or the line that I love, they after the movie was edited, they showed it, the producers who hated us, showed it to one of their editing friends in Hollywood. Right? The guy knew nothing about it. He could just watch the movie, right? He watched the movie. They told him nothing. And afterwards they came back and they go, wow, what sort of budget did you have for this movie? And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, how did you hire all these actors? You know, these no names to play it so straight. And it's like, where'd you get all these guys? Like, they weren't actors. They were real people. And then, you know, their pupils just dilated. And they're like, wait, this, like that conference actually happened. It's like, dude, we were there for 3 days. It's like, how is this even possible? That's why, you know, it generated, you know, it's the novelty of it that people are drawn to. Anyway, sorry, I ramble.
No, you actually bringing me on to something I actually wanted to ask Hibbler this, because he obviously makes a lot of documentaries. I could be wrong here, but I was looking, as anybody, like, because you've got all these movie companies, right. Has anybody ever touched Flat Earth just to make a fantasy film?
No.
That I was trying to look that up, and I thought, people make films about aliens, people make films about, you know, unicorns and what have you, but nobody's done a film about fucking Flat Earth.
No, we even have multiple movies about fake moon projects. Not just Capricorn 1, but stuff that's been done in the 2000s. You know, one was Moonwalkers or something like that. I mean, multiple movies even touching on the fact that Apollo, the American space program, might be fake. There hasn't even been a script floating around about the whole flat Earth thing. And which in itself, you know, when you're distancing yourself so much from a topic, come on, Hollywood loves money. Here's another one real quick. Behind the Curve. A sequel, never even not a breath of a sequel, even though it had done so well. You know, it not only did it place in every freaking film festival it went to, not only did it make its full blown run on Netflix, ran the gamut, and did very, very well. The producers never even touched it as a sequel, even though I've looked at their IMDb pages. It's like, guys, you haven't done that much since then. Go back to it, and they won't, because they hate it, or they were told never to do it. But yeah, it's hell, there was a wonderful series. I'll give you an example. I just watched it. It was on Apple TV Plus, called I recommend it highly. It's called For All Mankind.
Amazing. I spoke about this so many times on the show. It's fucking amazing.
I just watched it this year.
Awesome.
I just watched it this year, and it is the alternate, and it was recommended to me by our silent producer for Strange World, and he's going, you got to watch this. And he goes because it's not the space program that could have happened; it should have happened. Yeah, it is what I said. In fact, they stole that entire show from comments that I made during interviews my first 2 years, because that thing didn't even come out until 2017, and I said this verbatim over and over and over again. I go, you know what bugged me about the space race is that it ended. You know how it would have should have gone. It's like, we would have put 4 guys, they would have put 3 guys. We would have put a small base, they would have put a bigger base, and then it would have gone on and on until eventually the Cold War reaches the moon. And that's what Time Magazine would have run. And that is literally the first 2 seasons of that show, was literally the Cold War on the moon. And what they even jumped on little points that I made, like how Ted Kennedy would have been forgiven, or maybe it never even happened. Ted Kennedy was president in this show. The little details they had. Oh, and the USSR never fell. You know, Chernobyl never happened, which drained all the resources. If you guys want to look that up, if you've never watched Chernobyl, the miniseries, absolutely brilliant, but one of the most depressing things I've ever watched in my life. I tell people, it's like, you're feeling too good about yourself. It's like, things are going too well. Watch that series because it is bleak. But it drained all the resources. And so in that series, the USSR kept going. And I am sad, which is why, sorry, I'm not saying I'm a communist or anything, but I love the USSR as a villain. They were so great. And which is why I use the USSR sign-off television thing, when televisions used to sign off at night. I put that at the beginning of Strange World, every show. They did the same thing we did, although they did the smart thing at the end. They do the sign off, they do their national anthem, and then they just blare this noise. It's like, turn your TV off. We never did that. We just went to static, but they were like, turn off or we'll come for you.
Yeah, that TV series, I watched it and I'm like, that is like watching a true story of what it should have been.
Absolutely. It is brilliant. The alternate timelines were so well thought out. I mean, in the little details, like Reagan being elected 4 years earlier, Clinton was never president. Oh God, where's some of the other little things they did? The tensions in Panama for whatever reason. But the point was, it was the Cold War. The Cold War never ended. And that was, let me end this part with this. I can't stress this enough. The space race, and you guys can look this up. You just type in astronaut versus cosmonaut into Google and click on images. We absolutely hyped that thing up to no end. It was like, oh, this is the big thing. And all of a sudden they realized, like, oh crap, we got to stop this because the production's never going to match up. And by that, I mean the fake stuff that Moscow was putting out was not lining up with the fake stuff we were putting out. And as you know, consistency and continuity really, really matters when you're talking about this stuff. And people are going to figure out really quick, everything from the color of the ash to the physics and the slow motion camera differences that they were going to use. They're like, yeah, this is never going to work. And so they quietly told the Soviet Union, it's like, yeah, okay, we'll take it from here. We got more resources. We got more people that can do better stuff. Yeah, I know you started the whole thing with Sputnik and you kept it going, but this is ours. And then quietly, for no apparent reason, the Soviet Union just walks off the playing field. Again, it's never happened in the history of sports, right? First guy crosses the finish line, and then the other people just walk off the track. They're like, yeah, that's it. We're done.
Even after all
it's
the
the
money
Soviet
that's been
Union.
spent.
They don't quit ever. Sorry.
Yeah, even after all, no, even after all the money that was spent on it, it was just no, we'll just shut this. Just shut it. It's fine.
Yeah,
we lost.
Yeah, we lost, and we're never gonna, even though we did Soyuz a little bit after that. And again, it's 2025. I can't stress this enough for people that are listening out there. No one has even attempted to go to the moon, even tried since 1972. If you believe that timeline,
every president says they're going back.
I've done a montage on that. Every president, since going all the way back to Carter and Reagan and the first Bush and Clinton's and the second Bush and they've all said the same thing. It's like, we're committed to going back, and they kick the can down the road, and people forget. They're like, well, to where it's like, look, it's been 50 years. Well, wait, 72, yeah, 50 years, 50 something years, and no one's even tried. In fact, there was when I was doing street activism in Dublin, of all places, I was talking to this science girl and young science girl, and she was looking at me, and I threw it at her. I go, fine, when you going back? When is it going to happen? And her eyes just glazed over, and she gave it a like 500-yard stare just over my shoulder into the sky, and she goes, soon, we're going soon. And it's like, oh, you poor deluded girl. It's like, what are you thinking? Everyone's been saying that you're not going anywhere, and that's how they win. But
Mark, they lost the technology that took them to the moon.
Yes, and they talk about Mars. It's like, oh yeah, it's like you're never solving the Mars problem. There are certain technologies and future things that futurism is a big thing over here, right? Where you try to predict the future and you model it out. It's like, no, flying cars, no, humanoid robots at home, no. Fusion batteries for blah blah blah, no. Electric cars that don't catch fire in salt water, no. It's just like none of these things are going to happen. It's not going to happen. You can talk about it all you want, but I have seen the flying cars stuff on magazines in the United States since the 1950s. Mm-hmm. And we're no closer to that than we ever have. The closest now you're ever going to get, and I can't believe people are going to fly in these, are drones the size of helicopters. And it's like, so basically they're electric helicopters. and you'd rather get in that than a helicopter, which we've been using for a long time. You're going to get in that and zip across the city. And by the way, you can't fly them on your own. You need special pilot's licenses. They're never going to give that to people. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off track.
It's the idea of those helicopters when they decide that they're going to make them autonomous. That freaks me out. I saw the video the other day of China. Did you see the video of the drone show? And there was like an internet cut out, and the drones just started dropping out of the sky. I don't want that to happen to taxis.
Absolutely, and it's not going to happen. The hypocrisy of auto driving anything. If people don't understand what the auto driving technology is, it's based on a combination of, depending on what manufacturer you're using, of cameras, which is what you use like in that vacuum cleaner over there in the corner. That just uses cameras to navigate around the room. That's all it is. When you get to cars, if you want to get the more expensive models, you also use radar to help, right? The problem is it's dependent on the consistency of the road. Meaning, if your roads are perfect and everything's marked and there's no infrastructure issues, you'll be pretty good. But it's not a guarantee. In fact, Mercedes in their auto driving thing, they said, okay, here's what you want to know when to use it. Here's when you use it. Stop and go traffic when there's cars all around you, because the sensors will pick up everything. It's going to be slowing. You want to read a book and sit at your steering wheel? Great, we'll take over from there. Anything else outside of that, it's your ass. Because I've seen cars. I watched a Tesla the other day. There was a heavy shadow on a telephone pole, and it created this vertical black line across the road. The Tesla thought it was a wall. It knifed left and went into a tree in a fraction of a second. It's like, oh, wall. It's like, wow. and it was completely recorded. And it's like, that's just one instance, right? And it also messes up with the insurance thing, because who's liable when a self-driving car crashes? Is it the driver? Is it the other driver? Remember, it used to just be between two people. Is it the software packages using? Is it the manufacturer? You don't know. You're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. The self-driving crap with Tesla is never going to happen. I don't care what Elon says. Elon's the worst futurist in the world. His statements every year are, it's like, okay, we're going to have millions of fill in the blank this next year, by next year. That's his qualifier. Always listen to his quotes. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to have an impossibly huge number of this in next year or 18 months. He never says like 2 or 3 years down the road. It's always like, oh yeah, it's coming. As a salesman, I will give him credit. Why people listen to him after he absolutely screws up stuff all the time. And let me know if you have time. If you want me to run that 60-second clip, I'd be happy to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got the time, mate.
You want me to run it? Okay.
I feel we should have asked more questions about Elon Musk when he initially launched the Tesla robot, and instead of having a demo of the Tesla robot, he had a man in a suit.
Yeah.
That said a lot to me, because like we've literally allowed like I do think like on certain levels I think he's a con man, and but like I've said in this show before, I've been a bit critical of the like current administration in the US over the last couple of episodes, and I always hope for the best from these things. I'll always be positive about stuff. But over the past few weeks, I'm struggling to not go, hang on a second. Why are we trusting these people now?
I have never tried. Do you see what I'm trying to share there?
Oh, stick it up.
I have never trusted him. I'll make this full screen in a second, or try to make it bigger. I have never trusted him ever. And I'll just show you. Again, 60 seconds. We'll do this. And again, I'm proud of this only because I did it basically in one take. There's no auto editing here, because I hate auto editing.
Big for us.
Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
So my flat earth friends messaged me saying, Mark, what's your problem with Elon Musk? My problem is you don't see the problem. Let me enlighten you with some of his greatest hits. In 2017, Elon showed up on my radar with the Dear Moon project. I'm going to send a space bus of people around the moon. That went nowhere slow. I'm building a super plane that goes to China. No. I'm going to help Puerto Rico after that hurricane. No. I'm going to save those kids stuck in that cave with my submarine. No. I'm going to make an underground bullet train in California. No. It never ends. He didn't invent Tesla. He bought it. He didn't invent Twitter. He bought, rebranded, then destroyed destroyed the stock. SpaceX is a black hole of money. See what I did there? How is an aging programmer with Asperger's considered one of the smartest men in the world? And how in the hell did the media not question that whole Tesla Roadster in space? It doesn't make sense. He gets credit for things he just says and never does. He does nothing. My God, I've turned into Mugatu and he's Derek Zoolander. Short version, Elon Musk is a technocrat muppet for the US government and an enemy of flat Earth. Do your own research and recognize a false idol when you see it. Whatever. I'm done. There you go.
Did you just do that off the cuff, or did someone write
I wrote the script in 10 minutes and I recorded the audio in 60 seconds. It took me a couple times to do it without stumbling, but yeah, that's my thing. In fact, here, tell you what, I'll do one more, because remember, he not only did he say all these things, he also said he was one of the best video game players in the world. Remember that? Where it's like, oh yeah, I'm also one of the greatest gamers in the world, and that's when I freaking lost it. So here, let me show you that one really quick, which is.
That's when he ended up in a online Twitter war with Asmongold as well, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Hang on. In fact, I did it on Asmongold. Oh, hang on.
I like the logo.
Like that? Oh yeah, here it is. Elon Asmongold. I called it. Okay, so let me go here. Okay, I'm not sharing that right now, am I? No. So here, kill that one, and I'll say present. Here, I gotta stop screen. Present. Share screen. Elon Asmongold. Now, the thing about this was, okay. So let me give some context here for the Elon. I already put it up. The Elon Asmongold thing. So he went out and called it. And Asmongold, I still consider one of the best gaming review channels in the world. Remember, he's
we love Asmongold.
That's all he does.
Big fan.
I love the commitment. I love the conviction. The fact this is his life. That's all Asmongold's ever going to do. This is his thing. And so when he comes out and says Elon's a freaking fraud, and he backpedaled a little bit just because I think he was a little intimidated by the whole Elon thing. But it's my wheelhouse. I'm a lifelong gamer. I started out in the gaming world. So anyway, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Pop.
Oh yeah.
Share that one really quick. Okay, and 1 second. Let's maximize it. Here we go. Flat Earth friends messaged me and say, Mark, I thought you were done with Elon. And I would be, but he keeps doing dumb things and going after people I respect like Asmongold. You know how I feel about Elon. He takes credit for things he doesn't do a lot. We've talked about this. So when he says he's now the greatest gamer in the world, that's a bad decision. Stay out of my yard. Asmongold is currently the greatest gaming commentary channel in the world, period. He's literally dedicated his life to it. He's committed body and soul to the genre, and I respect that. He's also looked into Flat Earth for a hot minute. So when Asmon says that Elon is a gaming fraud, take that as gospel. Elon then responds by doxing his channel mods. First, that's a dick move, and second, Asmon is completely right. I know a few things about gaming. I started out winning my first tournament in '94, became a professional gamer, played at the conferences. It dominated my early life. Oh look, a realm first without a guild. That came later. The point is that Elon takes credit for things he doesn't do, and now that includes gaming. That's part of my world, and it pisses me off. Do your own research and compare the real deal to the pretenders on the flat earth. Whatever, I'm done. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, this last part. Here, watch this. This is something. This is when Asmongold. Watch this. Ready?
That the majority of people thought the earth was flat. Okay? So, I'm not really going to base a whole lot of credibility. It is? Okay, you know what? You want to have a vote on that? Let's have a vote on that. All right, is the earth flat, actually? Yes, no. All right, we'll do this one here, okay, guys? Give me a second.
Watch the numbers.
There you go.
Holy shit.
At no point is it losing.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And the numbers of people voting, I can see it.
Yeah,
it's nearly up to 3,000 now.
Yeah, in a matter of just a couple seconds. So yeah, sorry. That's my short version on Elon. Elon is And you'll have to be careful if you put it on YouTube. Hopefully, the that background music that Asmund doesn't show up on copyright. So be aware of that.
We don't worry too much about the YouTube anyway. It's fine.
Okay, good. Good. Elon has been on my radar for a while, and everything, which is why, again, I did the whole everything he promises, just say no to, because it's just never, ever happened. So when he did that whole Doge thing, it's like, oh, I'm going to save trillions of dollars. I just laughed. I just howled. It's like, okay, sure. He makes these amazing promises, and people just buy it. They just run.
The Doge thing from like us in the UK, we want something like that. Because we don't know where the fucking money's going. So I think somebody could do extremely bad things, and they can do something. That seemed like a really good thing they did.
The idea was interesting, sure, but as you know, the people in power, they have so many protective layers that they put in place that he was never gonna get through.
Never gonna break through that.
It was like I treated no different than the campaign promises. I think it was a George Bush Sr. You know, that back in the day, it's like no, his campaign slogan literally was no new taxes. It's like no new taxes, no taxes. That's great, right? And people fell all over it. And then, you know, within a year of his term, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, there's going to be taxes. You know, some new taxes. Like, okay, so whatever.
We're still waiting for those Epstein documents, aren't we?
Well, okay, all right. To be fair on the Epstein thing, you got to remember that as much as the public loves drama, public likes dirt and gossip and stuff like that. And while you could generate some image by releasing all those names, whatever those names are, to the general public, the logistic dollar and asset value of those names to any agency, I mean, especially multiple agency, is incalculable. Because those people have access to people that have access to people that you want to get. And now you can go to them and say, oh yeah, by the way, we have all the video of everything you ever did. We've got you dead to rights. You can't put a price tag on that. And you could say, you want your career to remain stable at all? You're going to help us here. I mean, we see it in movies and television. It's not a myth. And that's what you do. Now, if you want to release a few names, sure. But I guarantee the names on the full names on that list was making 3 or 4 agencies I could rattle off the top of my head just salivate. Be like, oh yeah. In fact, they were probably fighting over each other. There was probably a bidding war and meetings behind the scenes which we're never going to know about. Like who's going to get whatever asset these people are. So anyway.
There's a good case to be made there that if you're in a country which had that type of like shit over those sort of people,
yeah,
why would you want your government to give away that type of leverage?
Right. You don't. I know. Oh, sorry. Let me back up 1 second. Hibbler. Don't get me wrong. I love Hibbler's work. I love everything he does. He still hates me because he's an Eric Dubé guy and an ODD guy. He still to this day does not trust me. I am hoping that because of the TFE thing now, he trusts me a little more now because at least I'm not. If he doesn't, that's fine. But to your point, moving forward, the asset list is you're right. It's too valuable. I'm saying if I was an agent or an agency, are you kidding me? I'd look at these names like, oh, we could run this program for years in advance. You know, it is a boon to what you're looking for. And all it took was you had to confiscate. You know, Epstein was the one that did the groundwork. And why was he keeping it? Who knows? You know, probably for leverage, for the wrong reason. It's like, oh, that's another thing, another tip for people out there. Don't try to get leverage on celebrities if you don't have anything to back it up with. It's like, fine, you got the videotapes. Can you protect yourself? You know, unless you have your own little private army, you know, you're vulnerable.
I'm still 100% of the opinion that he's not dead. I think he was body swapped and scooped out of that prison.
I'm not going to take off the table, but at the same time, does it matter? Because the whole island concept was shut down.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, they might have used him, or I'm under the belief that it's like you only need one of the two. You only need him, or forgive me if I pronounce the name wrong, Ghislaine.
I think it's Ghislaine.
Elaine, you only need one of them, and it sounded like she was more up to speed than he was. So again, if you're playing
Robert Maxwell's daughter, like if you were to show me Jeffrey Epstein and then say, but Robert Maxwell's daughter's involved in this, right, I'd immediately point to her as being the important one.
There you go. Which is, if I was going to pick, and again, we've seen this in different movies and books and stuff, which is, we only need one of you. So whoever's going to give us the bigger deal. Now, he may have survived the prison thing, but I almost guarantee that after the fact, that like, look, we don't need both of you. We don't need collaboration. We need whoever knows the most. And after a thorough interrogation, not necessarily enhanced, but thorough interrogation, you figure out who you want to keep. That's just me. Not that it matters, because the names that the public is never going to hear. Maybe a few sacrificial names that they could throw out there. But why? And
like Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew was the first sacrificial.
There you go.
Because I said all along that I think his story was the cover story, and I think the Virginia Giuffre, who he supposedly like abused. I think she was in on it as well. I know she's dead now.
She just died.
But you see, that whole scenario was perfect. You had a prince, but he was the useless prince that no one cared about.
Right.
You had a 17-year-old girl that looked like.
Oh.
Lee's been taken out. Lee's been taken out.
No.
I know what he's going to say, though. Yeah, you had the young girl.
Right.
And, like, for the UK, and for the UK looking at that, they're like, well, 17, as much as it's pretty sick, 17 in the UK. 17 is,
it's
legal. So people were going, oh, the dirty bastard. But people in the UK weren't going, the pedo,
Right. He still shouldn't have been there. I mean, the picture was so damning.
Nobody should have been there. But I mean, I think he probably used leverage over a lot of people. Some people will have gone there, done absolutely nothing. But, when it all comes out, he needs them people on side.
Right.
Because you were there.
Yeah.
And there's the receipts.
Yeah, the flight logs, and they whetted the appetite of the public, and it's enough. I mean, come on, the Epstein topic was covered in a lot of mainstream, but the really deep dish stuff, they're going to keep that to themselves because it's worth more.
Matt, going back to the Elon bit, were you aware of the book? Is it the Mars Project? Have you ever heard of that?
Yep.
From
where his name was dropped.
The Elon, and that was by Werner von Braun.
Yep.
It just seems like it's to me like life's been, because everybody jokes that I'm the house flat earther. Right. Now I could be a flat earther, could not be a flat earther. I don't even know what I am. I don't know where I live, if I'm honest.
Sure.
I don't, and I don't think flat earthers know where they live. They know there's something more to this,
right?
To this world.
But it's pretty open ended, yeah.
But it seems like they've narrated everything. They're playing the long game, and that's one thing that I do not understand is the long game with because people are very selfish. They don't live long lives. So I'm wondering if there is a hand behind it all that does live longer.
Maybe. It's hard to say. I mean, people have talked about different races and different beings. I mean, we've all heard the stories, the lizard people and the Illuminati, and could it be, hey, welcome back. Could be there is another group out there that have serious longevity issues. Possibly, do they mix well with common people, or us? Maybe. I don't know. You're right, though. There is a long game being played, but I don't know if it's that long, because what I've been trying to remind people lately is the right now in 2025, everybody that's alive has some sort of reference to what an alien agenda from some form of media going all the way back to the 50s. I mean, everybody's got a reference. Everything from E.T. to The Day the Earth Stood Still to Predator to Aliens. I mean, every decade has so many. So if you were going to roll out some sort of, because I do believe we're in Act 3, finally, mercifully. If every play has three acts, I think we're finally there, because everything's getting just nutty. I mean, to where the writing's going off the rails. I still do believe in Project Bluebeam.
You seem quite relaxed, considering
Well, I mean, I'm relaxed only in that if I'm not laughing, I'm crying type of thing. If I'm relaxed in that I've heard the cry wolf tale so many times over the years that I'm just kind of numb to it. I just take it with a grain of salt. And a part of it's because I'm up on an island near Canada in the corner of the United States, and I'm not in the middle of, it's pretty peaceful up here. So on a routine basis, I don't get so stressed out. But for me, it's kind of like, I'll give you two quick examples. One was, of course, 2012. The whole 2012 thing. I was a big believer. Nibiru, the whole binary star system, Melancholia. Melancholia freaked me out as a movie. It's like, oh my gosh, was that bleak? Nobody made it. It was one of the few movies. It's like, no, everybody died. If you've never seen it, spoiler alert.
Well, I need to watch that now, because I heard
people you don't.
say
everybody
that.
died. Everybody dies. Well, it was basically Nibiru, the whole Nibiru thing slamming into us. Another solar system coming into ours. And
I've seen it. She's got the wedding dress on.
Yeah, the wedding dress. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Lars von Trier, did he direct that, or is it Werner Herzog? Damn it. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But I was really into that. And then, 2012, 2013, the whole Mayan calendar thing. I was in the theater in 2009 when 2012, the movie came out with John Cusack. Saw that. And it's like, wow, big things coming. But then the years started rolling by, and then people were making up excuses like it's not happening. And then to where I joke, I go, if Nibiru, because I still every once in a while hear about Nibiru. And I say, if Nibiru shows up now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to stand outside. I'm going to look at the sky. It's like, what the hell took you guys so long? Because you're way off the timetable. And this goes beyond what, and again, once you got into flat Earth, everything in the sky doesn't make any sense anyway. So it's like, I've never lost any sleep about that. But no, Act 3 for me, I still think has the potential. I'm an optimist at heart. I think there's a lot of good things that could happen. Could it turn sinister? Sure, but we haven't seen that yet.
What do you think is coming then? What do you think's actually coming?
I mean, I don't think. I mean, yeah, we could be. Okay, I'll give you some potentials. Could we be finally pushing Russia to pull the trigger and be tired of our antics? I mean, there's only so many times you could poke a guy in the forehead before he's going to take a swing at you. And we've been torturing Russia from the West for a long, long time. The Ukraine thing, but at the same time, I kind of said that about Taiwan, over here in the West, which was, Taiwan, China owns Taiwan. It always has, but we have industries on there. China could take it anytime they want. The reason why it's called the China Sea is because, well, it's China's sea. And Taiwan's in it. So, but no matter what we do, China's saber rattling doesn't go anywhere. Ukraine's saber rattling, the proxy war that happens, Russia still hasn't done anything. There's been no decisive moves. The Act 3 I want, the Act 3 I probably won't get. The Act 3 I want is some sort of blue beam, older civilization reveal. That's what I want. Which is some sort of advanced civilization lands something somewhere public. And in fact, my host and I, DJ, have been joking about how glamorous they really have to be, because they can't be any of our colors. They can't exactly look like us. And there's certain colors they can't be. You know what I mean? So they can't be red, right? They can't be green. They can't really be like a sickly yellow. They've got to be something really pretty, like blue or silver or gold. They got to be glowing. Their ship has got to be absolutely freaking awesome, whatever it is. Otherwise, you're going to have nerds that just aren't going to be impressed. And they've got to act smarter, and they'd probably have to have a British accent in the translation, to be honest. Otherwise, I won't.
If they do, we know they're up to no good.
Probably, but for the rest of the world, it'd be more legit. It's like, all the really sophisticated villains or heroes have British accents. So, but that's what I'd love to see, some sort of ancient civilization reveal, not necessarily Mars or Jupiter or anything, but ancient aliens, ancient civilizations, older versions of us, which is what I've always said. I go, the pyramids and Machu Picchu and Puma Punku and all that stuff wasn't built by aliens. They were built by us. There's been timelines that have been broken. We're not the first people to rent this apartment. What I don't want to happen necessarily is some sort of weak ass world war where the Soviet Union is not even around anymore, and then people are trying to figure out who's on what side, and how does it start exactly? Because the flashpoints that should be there haven't been there, and we've been waiting for a long time. Again, the cry wolf thing is where it's like, I've heard this. I mean, look, I was a child of the 80s when the Soviet Union, and we had movies every freaking year about the Cold War and how it's going to happen, and to where we were showing some of the made-for-TV movies in schools. On our side, it was like The Day After, and on your side, I think it was called, was it Threads, something like that?
I'm not sure.
Oh, it was an early. Your version was way grittier than ours, where everything just burned and it did not go well. Ours was a little more sunny. But I don't know if any of that's going to happen necessarily, because I haven't seen it. Sorry, let me get back to this. You'll know when it's coming. Here's the easy thing to tell, because your audience is more sophisticated than the general public. The general public is still as dumb as frickin' rocks. I think most of them are NPCs anyway, and I'm going to use the line from Men in Black, which is, a person is smart, but people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. The mob rule still applies. It's never changed in thousands of years. The mob is still out there. So if you want to know...
tell ever more right now.
Yes.
It's there's riots going on in Ireland right now over immigration. There's riots going on in LA because of the ICE deportations.
Yep. The mob has never changed. So the narrative, you'll know what's coming, because the narrative has to be very simple, and repeated over and over loudly. Whatever it is, Orange Man bad. That's the narrative. That's your narrative. Or Elon Musk good. Something like that. Whatever it is, it's got to be really easy to drive home into people. That it's a time tested thing, and we'll see it a mile away. But the general public always say, "Holy smokes! Have you seen what's going on?" If it's talked about at the water cooler on a regular basis, and it's really easy to understand, that's the narrative. But I just haven't seen anything. I've been kind of disappointed. As far as Act 3 is finally, I feel it. It's here, but they haven't decided where it's going.
It feels like it's simmering though, doesn't it? Like with all the UFO stuff that's come out, and I think it's something I'm really interested in, which is like the ancient civilization stuff and the whole Tartaria thing. But not only do I find some of the stuff that's come out, like buildings having extra levels underneath them, stuff like that. Right, really cool. The World's Fairs and whatnot.
Right.
I find the fact it came out when it did and how it did interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think you could argue without TikTok that like conspiracy theory doesn't take off. That was like one day I had no idea what Tartaria was. The next day I couldn't move without seeing someone do like a 3-minute video telling me about World's Fairs. That's not organic.
Yeah, good point. And for me, when they got to Tartaria, it was like, it's fine. But I was already desensitized by the older ones, that being Machu Picchu and Puma Punku and Bimini Road and the sunken cities off of Japan, the sunken cities off of India, the Bosnian pyramids, the real pyramids. I had a chance. I was lucky enough to go back in 2010. Somebody said, you really should go and just stand at the base of the pyramids and understand what you're looking at. And when I did, and I turned around and looked at Cairo, that's the perspective, which was Cairo, the people of Cairo and the descendants of Cairo, the old Cairo, had nothing to do with the building of that place. I mean, Cairo is a freaking almost literal dumpster fire in some places. It's not pretty. I mean, there are roads that they let the tour buses on, but most of the roads, they don't. And again, it's funny because you see the pyramids and there's this big vast desert in front of them. It's like, no, they leave it a vast desert for the pictures. They don't build out that way. You turn around, there's a golf shot and you'll hit a Starbucks if you go the other direction. All the roads lead right up to the pyramids. But you do understand when you look at the logistics that the building of it, again, there's not a single hieroglyph on the construction of it, not one. Because I think if I had a time travel machine, I'd have so much fun. I'd go back 5,000 years or whatever, and I would go to the pyramids, and I almost guarantee I know what I'd see. I'd see the pyramids in the middle of the desert and no one around it. And whoever it was, the Pharaoh's teams, their recon teams show up. It's like, yeah, so we're going to claim these and we're going to tell everybody we built them and they're going to revere us as demigods. And it worked. And they didn't even have to explain it. After one generation, most people couldn't read or write anyway. It's like, oh, yeah, our leaders built this. It's like, really? How long did it take them? 30 years. Oh, wow. They couldn't do the math like we do. It's like, do you know how fast you'd have to move? The blocks are monstrous. And it was covered with those sheets of marble. I'd also want to, go back, and I'd want to find out where the capstones went. There isn't even a theory of where the capstones went. The top perfect one, the pyramid on a pyramid, those solid stones, what they were made out of, who took them, where they went. I love it. I love everything about it. And I also think the Sphinx was a lion that they just carved it down. The question is,
the scale of the head is just ridiculous.
Yeah. But the question is, and there was an older movie called 10,000 BC where they was a lion in that movie. And it's like, oh, but the question was, because it was a jungle in that movie. It's like, yeah, because lions don't live in that particular climate. So that means there was a different climate back then. And again, that's what a pharaoh would do. They'd stare at this lion. It's like, what can we do with this?
My face.
Yeah, my face. It's like, it's not going to look right. It's like, I don't care. Put my face on it. So dumb.
Do you know what I find really wild? Like somebody like yourself and Dave Weiss. I don't know why we've not seen you on something like Joe Rogan, because he seems to love every single conspiracy. But I
were okay. I can tell you what, we were close. In fact, if Eddie Bravo had to go back and do it again, he'd probably do it differently. Some years ago, Eddie Bravo, because he's a big flat earther, and that's the whole Joe Rogan thing. Joe will like picking on him, and Eddie defended it to all ends. But Eddie was an Eric Dubay guy, and so Eddie told Joe's producers, like, get Eric Dubay. And so you can look it up. I mean, it was on air. Joe Rogan challenged Neil deGrasse Tyson on air to debate Eric Dubay.
Yes,
and Tyson's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. But I knew full well what was happening. It's like he's never done a debate in his life. He was just gonna say, oh yeah, sure, let's say your people call my people. That was never gonna go anywhere. And then the show ended, and of course he canceled on him. Absolutely. Would have Eric done it? You bet. But then Eddie Bravo realized that Eric was kind of a loner type character, kind of a Andy Warhol of Flat Earth. Do his own thing, and his legend grows. The less he talks to people, the bigger he gets. It's like, okay, sure. So then he was getting into David's thing, and at that point, Joe should have him on the show. In fact, the last Flat Earth reference we got was, was it Chris Atkinson? Or there was a fairly big podcaster with like 3 million subs, and he'd been on Joe a couple times, and he actually brought up, again, not by accident, if you guys believe in this, which was in the first 5 minutes, he brought up TFE to Joe Rogan and the whole thing, what was happening. It's like, well, one, he had nothing to do with TFE. And then Will Duffy's going on saying, oh yeah, this podcaster is one of my friends. It's like, what are you talking about? That guy's pretty cool. He has nothing to do with you. Well, how is this even happening? And to where that guy gave Joe Jaren's lighter from TFE. It's like, oh yeah, this lighter was down in Antarctica. He gave him
Joe Rogan's got Jarenism's lighter now.
Yeah, to where then David Weiss and I are like looking at each other going, oh crap, is Jaren going on Rogan? Is that going to happen? Now, it's it's not been scheduled. We will know before it happens, but it's been a couple months now and nothing's transpired. I hope that doesn't happen. But just remember what we said earlier in the show. If it does, we got plans.
It's not a lighter anyway. It contains his soul.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, but yes, we should have been on Rogan. David Weiss absolutely should have been on Rogan. I mean, I was really happy. Alex Jones producers, 4 years before David goes on, they asked me, it was the weirdest conversation. They said, how long can we go do a show with you without saying the words flat earth? It's like, what? I go, 10 minutes, maybe, if I dance around it. He goes, yeah, it's not long enough. We can't do it. 4 years later, Eddie Bravo, who's a good friend of Alex Jones, gets David on the show. Great, wonderful. Glad they did it. And the way they did it, we also lucked out because Eddie, even though David was coming in the first time via video, and then he went and did something in person, he had Eddie Bravo sitting right next to Alex Jones to make sure Alex didn't go off topic. And that worked out really, really well. I hope we get to do something with Joe. If I get to do it, I'd love to do it. I think I'd do very well with Joe. Joe and I are pretty much, I think, almost exactly the same age. Mm-hmm. So I think we'd connect there, but who knows? My only fear there would be he would bring in for the drama part, he'd bring in some sort of scientist.
Who would you want to debate?
I don't know if I don't know, because you don't know what they're going to react. I had a chance, when I did a thing with Piers Morgan to debate Terry Virts, one of our astronauts that was right next to him, sitting right. They didn't tell me till the last minute, by the way.
I remember seeing this.
Terry would not engage me directly. I had to go through Piers. And Piers, of course, was doing the old, trying to stir up drama between us, trying to do the whole American versus American crime thing, to where he said, he went so far to say, are you calling Terry a liar? And I've heard this before anyway. It's like, no, but he's a full bird colonel in the U.S. military. He has to follow orders, right? It's like, I respect that. It's like, you don't get to be a colonel unless you know what you're doing, and so he's going to say what he's told to say. And true to form, Terry did not break character the entire time. It was like he was waiting for Piers to step in. I can't even remember if Terry and I actually exchanged direct words at all. I think Piers was the mediator the entire time. And people were mad at me because they wanted me to attack more. And I tried to remind them, I go, look, I was coming in through video like this. And I have talked to many a producer over the years, and they have their finger over this giant red button. And it's like, you get off script and they will hit it. And the next thing, it's like, oh, we seem to have lost Mark, but we'll try to get him back after the break. And they never go. And then the other thing is producers talk to each other a lot. That's how I got other things. Which was, and if one producer gets the word out, it's like, oh, Mark is a difficult guest, you're never going to get a single thing again. Which is why I'm glad David has kept his pace and never gone off the freaking deep end. So,
I think I know why there won't be a flat Earth thing on Rogan. At least not like immediately. Is I remember Eddie Bravo was on. I think it might have been Tinfoil Hat. I can't be 100%.
Yeah.
And they were talking about people like the flat Earth closet people, and Eddie Bravo said, I know one of the biggest names in the world, like unbelievably huge that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
But they can't say anything because they have such a huge business and a huge platform.
Yeah.
That it would tank it. I can convinced the way he was talking about it, he was talking about Rogan.
Yeah.
Convinced about it. And I've always thought, I've always thought that there's moments in Rogan podcasts. I'm a big Rogan fan. I listen to at least 2 shows a week, in general. And there's always things like, doesn't matter whether he's got a comedian on or someone else, he'll throw a thing out there. He say, "Oh, it's flat Earth though," like as if it's a joke.
Yeah. And
I think he's doing what you were saying before, as just, even if it's negative, it just keeps the conversation going.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe was I feel bad for Joe because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, which was, you remember the stories, right? He was very much against NASA before we ever were. Not before Flat Earth. Joe was attacking NASA. He's like, oh no. Again, that great quote is like, there's no way we went to the moon. No way. And his conviction was so great. He was winning debates against science people. And then he gets that show, Joe Rogan Questions Everything, on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's a brand new series, and his very first episode, was, the first part of the episode, he apologized on camera to NASA, everything he ever said about him. And it's like, woof, that's not good. Who got to you? And then of course he gets the biggest podcast in the world, right? It's like, again, I followed Joe Rogan's career over the year. It's like, yeah, he's good. Does he deserve the biggest podcast in the world? It's like, might have had a little help. But yeah, he wants to talk about it, but he can't really get into it. Let me mention to you, as far as the celebrities go, the Kelsey Grammer thing, which I loved. It wasn't that Kelsey was into it; it was how he got into it. Because he goes, "You want to go?" He goes, "I got into it." He goes at the Oscar party that year, and I go, "How did that work?" And he goes, "Well, a lot of the people, creative people in the celebrity world, are very into conspiracies. They're anti-government. There's this and that." And apparently, after a few drinks, they always get into conspiracies at some point. And they were all talking about this and that, whispering and talking like Batman. And all of a sudden, Amy Adams walks into the room, actress. And she starts hearing this, and she gets really upset. She's going, "Really? You can put all the rest of those that BS to bed. Let me tell you the crap my father's into. Flat Earth." And she goes on this freaking jag, right, in the middle of this Oscar party. And remember, doesn't matter whether you love or hate a topic. In fact, hating a topic even generates more interest because people are like, "Wow, what the hell, guy named Amy?" Click, 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 click. They start looking up stuff on the phone about what it is, and that's how they got into it. Was because she was ranting about it because her father's a big conspiracy guy. And so yeah, I am sure there are plenty of people out there. Again, Joe, if you're listening, would love to talk to you. I don't think I've given a bad interview ever, so I'd be happy to do it.
Well, he had and you actually did warn us before we had Bart Sabrell on. You said, don't ask him about flat Earth. But Rogan had Bart Sabrell on a week after we had Bart Sabrell on.
Yeah.
And he did use that Steelman thing many times during. I don't know if you saw that interview.
No, go ahead though.
But no. It did seem like he's going back to the moon landings being fake. I did seem that way.
I didn't take that at all.
Did you know?
I thought every one of the Steelman things Rogan did to Bart Sabrell was to help back up Bart Sabrell. It was to give Bart Sabrell the opportunity to say what his proof was. I 100% don't. I think Joe is we didn't go to the moon guy.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's back on team. We didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I liked Bart Sabrell's work a lot.
Yeah, we've had him on the show. Is it 3 times now, Lee?
Yeah.
He's great.
A funny thing happened on the way to the moon is one of my favorite little go-to things because it absolutely shows that something was being faked.
Mm-hmm.
However, I understand why he was upset for the same reason other conspiracy people were upset, like the creators of the Principle movie, if you remember that, where Earth is at the center of the universe. Narrated by Kate Mulgrew, I believe, from Star Trek. And Bart hates it because flat Earth is a bigger, broader conspiracy than even though his is incredibly big and huge and wonderful, it takes it a notch up, and it was diminishing his work at some point. It was lessening it. It was like, oh, hey, we've created another tier, and not our intention at all. In fact, the guy from the Principle thought we were doing it on purpose, and it's like, no, it's not. I'm sorry you don't like it. And look, no one's claiming flat Earth doesn't belong to any one person. Definitely not me. There's people have been talking about it for a long time. I just put it in a different light. Bart created some original work. We didn't, but our original work had the ramifications were so much bigger. No offense, right, to him. It's like, yeah, the American space program is a big deal, and as far as conspiracy goes, pretty damn cool as far as the layout and how it transpired. But flat Earth, the world you live in, I mean, that's Matrix level.
I'd never thought about that. That makes a lot of sense because for one day Bart Sabrell has a huge conspiracy, and then the next day his conspiracy is actually just a part of yours.
There you go.
It's just an evidence at that point.
Same thing happened with the 9/11 crowd. 9/11 crowd, people were contacting me directly, and it's like, look, we all know our conspiracy is the biggest conspiracy out there. I'm going, well, technically, it's not. I go, it's just part of America. It's just a little corner of America. We're talking about something that's all encompassing. It's the big umbrella that holds everything else, which is why I love it so much, because in fact, it helps them, helps everybody, because, and I've said this on different videos, where if you get into flat earth, because it's overarching and, you know, it stands over all of them, you revisit everything that's underneath it. Because if you can fake the world, if you can hide the world, then what can't you do? And that's why I revisited everything else, and why I've been open to things that I normally wouldn't be. You probably heard me say that beforehand. I would laugh at other conspiracies. Oh, in fact, the great one would be it works in the opposite way. Like it was in my first video where I have friends that believe that the royal family is made up of lizard people, right? And yet,
so
when
this show's based on that, so yeah, there you go.
There you go. And then I'd say, yeah, but what about flat Earth? And they go, get the hell out of here. I'm going, really? Because you just said lizard people, and yet you're laughing at me. But at the same time, I don't want to be a hypocrite. So when somebody comes to me, it's like, look, I'm pretty sure Elvis is alive and he had Bigfoot's baby, right? Normally, I'd be like, dude, take your meds, right? But now, what leg do I have to stand on? I have to go. I go. You know what? I wake up with flat Earth every morning. Give me what you got. I'll give you a few minutes. Hit me, and they'll hit me. Now, because of that, I've been exposed to just about every conspiracy you can think of. Some I like, some I don't. But I understand when people get mad because we're presenting something that's just bigger in scope. It may not be bigger in, you know, the level of detail and intrigue and everything, but it's bigger in scope. So again, I'm sorry that Bart probably doesn't like it, and the principal guys don't like it, and other people don't like it, but
we never asked him. We took your advice.
Don't ask.
3 shows we never asked him.
No. He's said it. He said it for years, and I understand the outrage, and I it's ironic because I watched before I got into flat Earth. I remember watching Funny Thing Happened on the Way of the Moon, and I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I was like, holy crap, because it absolutely was real footage, and it absolutely was, you know, they were faking low Earth orbit. However, if you think multiple levels of conspiracy, couldn't have been brilliant that they released it, because okay, one, how did it get out and how did it get to him? Which was, okay, the moon program was probably fake, but low Earth orbit is not, which means space is still real. And that part works. And it's like, yeah, I know. I was like, oh, that's good. Because again, as long as some part of space still works, and I've talked to people in the truther community, which said the same thing to me. They said, okay, Apollo's a piece of crap, but you can't tell me the ISS is fake. And then I try to remind them, you know, the rules of crime and guilt, which is like, look, if you're going to fake one thing, you're faking everything, because if you get caught, you're going to, the punishment's still the same no matter what. You know what I mean?
I still can't get over the satellites that crash, and you can see that they've got
are tethered
attached to them.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking insane.
I know. Or that's why I put videos on my channel showing, you know, 4-ton satellites crashing into things while they're launching. And unfortunately, I've got a class reunion I got to deal with this summer, where one of the guys there, the super nerd, actually builds satellites. He's been building satellites for 20 years. And I know I got to mess with him, because it's like, look, man, I understand you're upset, but nothing I can do. Your satellites are probably being, you know, hung up there on balloons, and you don't even know it. So, yeah, it's fine.
What I was surprised with the Bart Sabrell interview was my thoughts about the like the faking of the footage and stuff going there was what I've never been able to get my head around. It makes no sense. I said this to Bart. I said it makes no sense to send people up in a rocket, have them camp while you film and play the fake stuff on television, and bring them back. It has to be easier to fake everything than just fake the landing part.
Yeah. And why fake it up there where the production value is a dicey at best? Why would again, but the first glance, Thomas Jefferson said things are rarely what they first appear to be. In fact, I'm going to steal that from you and use it in other things, which is a great point. It's like what they faked was really
Just
great.
Quote us.
I will. But why would you fake it there? If you're going to fake it there, why go at all? Why not just fake it on the ground? That was the line from Capricorn 1, which I just watched again recently, which is, of course, they weren't going to be in the capsule at all. You're going to fake it all on the ground, which is, again, ties back to Apollo, which is like if Apollo is faked, then it's all fake. Or the clue that I made about the suit, the spacesuit. That was one of my challenges to people. I go, the spacesuit does not make sense. The spacesuit cannot work the way it does, and no one will explain it to me. No scientist I've ever approached, I've said, how does the spacesuit work? Don't tell me about oxygen and nitrogen and all heating and cooling. Tell me how it doesn't blow up because of the vacuum pressure difference and turn into a parade float and then explode and die. It never happens with any other product ever that's ever been made. Tell me what magical thing in that backpack is doing it, because I can't even find a science fiction writer that can come up with a fictional way of how it happens, short of a force field.
It's made out the same thing as those Tesla tires.
Oh, don't get me started on that the Tesla Roadster in space. This is I'll give Jaron his due. I found out about that when I was in Canada. When I was living in Canada, and somebody sent me a still shot of that. And I wrote back, who mocked this up? I go, is that Jaron? Who did this? And it goes, no, dude, that's a live link. I'm going, what? Are you high? It can't be a live link. And I watched the footage and I'm staring at something that is impossible. And again, the general public and Patricia, to give her credit, also, she was the one that said, she goes, if that was real, that banner would be on the wall of every Tesla dealership in the world. She goes, that would be their hook. Tesla, first in space, blah, blah, blah. And there'd be other car companies that would try to do the space thing in different aspects. But what got me most was we're all about advertising and marketing, right? The capitalism world, it's all about marketing. There wasn't a single logo on that car anywhere. I go, that thing should have looked like NASCAR. It should have been wall-to-wall endorsements, right? It should have been, remember, we're talking about Tesla and SpaceX. There should have been everywhere. Even the freaking mannequin didn't have a logo on him. And it's like, are you kidding me? That is marketing gold. You could have called up Disney and said, hey, grab some characters. We're going to stick them, and put them in a 4-door model. You could have had a Stormtrooper, Iron Man, Groot, and Boba Fett, and the thing would have paid for itself. And it didn't, right? Nothing. They were like trying. I think what they were doing is like, okay, let's put this out there. Let's see how well it does, and watch social media. Let's see if everyone accepts it. And there's all sorts of people that were doing hashtag fake, hashtag are you kidding, hashtag go to hell, and they got rid of it really quick, and they just turned off the cameras and supposedly sent it to Mars, and we never heard from it again. But yeah, sorry, back to your original thing. The car should have been trashed. The tires should have exploded. Every pressurized system should have detonated. The windows should have spiderwebbed. The thing should have been absolutely shredded. And it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Not a thing wrong with it. And supposedly it was taken out of Elon's garage, just bolted onto the thing and sent up there. It's like, my ass, screw you.
Well, either that or you're wrong. And it's either that or you're wrong, and it is in space, and that astronaut's actually Jeffrey Epstein.
That's one way to get rid of it. I'm sorry. One more thing about it, real quick, which was the camera trickery when they shot it was also brilliant. Was went up in this giant booster rockets, right? Mm-hmm. But there was a big rocket in the center, the heavy, and the 2 booster rockets on the side, right? And when they released it, they cut to the booster rockets going back down, and they were going to land these booster rockets vertically, which of course makes total sense, right? And there was like, okay, rocket 1's landing, rocket 2's landing right next to it, which you would never ever do, and then cut to, I could see the production in house in my mind. It's like, and cut to car, and all of a sudden it's the car in space. I'm going, where'd the heavy go? The big rocket that was underneath it, where's the heavy? Why isn't it tumbling behind it slowly? There's your camera angle. Why aren't you even talking about the Falcon Heavy? It's like, well, because they didn't want to spend the production money on it. Whatever. It's like people will just buy the car, and they did for at least a while. And then they quietly just like, we're not going to do it anymore. So sorry. Tesla thing. Elon, you suck.
There was also a cut, wasn't there? There was a cut which seemed to show it, which I know they said was it inside of the rocket.
Right. It was an awkward
seemed to
cut.
show it at
Yep.
the perfect angle, exactly the same angle that you saw it when it was supposedly in space.
Yeah.
And I think that was it sat in the staging area. Like,
I believe you. I believe that as well. It wasn't publicized as much as some of the others, but it was good. Everything about that Tesla road, again, the first impressions. It's like, oh, look,
the
what?
mouse.
The mouse. Or again, the 3 camera angles that were absolutely, remember 3 HD cameras on that thing, perfect. And then there's like, okay, we're going to Mars and we're cutting feed. And it's like, why the hell are you cutting feed? This is your chance. You're pulling away from Earth. It goes into the thing I've said for years, which was find me a piece of footage where the Earth starts from a landing and turns into a ball, and then again, if you're going out of orbit, it's your perfect chance. We've never had a shot of the Earth slowly shrinking in time lapse, and it's never happened, which is why Artemis has been such a freaking joke.
Let the feed naturally die. Just let the feed naturally die. Just keep it filming.
Yeah, keep it filming. Why would you just turn it off? So and Artemis. Sorry, one more thing. Not only the car in space, but Artemis. It's like there's no stars in space. Why are you showing no stars in space? The Artemis 1 got within supposedly 50 miles of the moon. The resolution was horrible. It's like, what was obscuring it? And yet, whenever they were spinning around, it's like there are no stars being shown. It's like, you're really going to go along that whole... And I've asked scientists, I said, why are there no stars in space? They're like, gravity. So, they just glitch out.
That's the thing, and I've said this before on the show. I said, whether you're a flat earther or whether you just don't believe what's going on, one thing's for sure: if they could take a satellite out or a rocket or whatever and turn it around, take some pictures of Earth, make limited copies, sell them for people would fucking buy them.
Yeah,
people would pay a hell of a lot of money, billionaires, to have a huge picture of where they live.
Look up. Was it? I can't remember. It was the first one, Inconvenient Truth, or an Inconvenient Truth 2. I can't remember. I think it was the second one. Al Gore, to your point, Al Gore, when he went to the vice president's office, had an Apollo 17 blue marble shot, which, by the way, was the first blue marble shot ever taken in 1972, right? And he was like, well, it's kind of grainy. It's kind of old. Can I get an updated version? And NASA's like, yeah, we don't have an updated version. And Al Gore's like, what? How is this even possible? So he started this whole satellite program just to have a goal of taking a new blue marble shot from space. And it dragged, and finally the administration changed and the program was killed. It wasn't until 2015, until the summer, again, after we kicked off in the beginning of 2015, summer 2015, to when the second blue marble shot was taken. 43 years, and you never took a second blue marble shot of Earth from anywhere? It was absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, that's forever in space terms. And yet nobody want to talk. And we knew it was the second blue marble shot because Scott Kelly wrote the press briefing, apparently from space, and Obama was the one that delivered it in a speech. That's like, why now? Why now are you doing the blue marble from space thing? If you ever get a chance, also look at the black marble shots. Those were great. It's all nighttime shots, and supposedly all that's lit, and of course they screwed that up, and all it takes is one intern, where they showed all these massive number of cities on the west coast of Australia. Well, if you know anything about Australia, there are no massive cities on the west coast, so why are you showing all these lights down there? And it's like, because there's some forest fires in the area that summer, and we just screwed up. It's like, no, you didn't. The guys didn't know your geography. And so you just,
It's. I remember years ago. I think it was one of the first times, or it would have been the first time I heard Dave Weiss, because it was a year, I think, but like pre-Flat Earth Dave Weiss, when he was on the Rabbit Hole podcast, or Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole podcast.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to him in real time, becoming a flat earther, listening to that podcast. And one of the things he said was, as far as like looking at things from space and at Earth, is like, where's the 24-hour feed? Because anything in this day and age that can be shot in HD and live streamed is shot in HD and live streamed.
Absolutely. That it is the 24-hour live cam, and I said that going all the way back as well, which is like that would be demanded. You could sell that to every education system, to every science channel, to every science network. That would be a go-to. You general public, not as much, but you could. Every school in the world would have that feed going. You could sell that to them as a subscription service and just make guaranteed money.
Pretentious businesses. When you walk in the foyer, have a few massive big HD screens up.
Yeah, and we still, it's 2025. We still don't have it. Why not? And you look at, and they don't have a good answer. Same reason with the my favorite flat Earth proof of all time, which is not the favorite of the general public, which is the atmosphere versus gravity. The vacuum of space, which is I've challenged every single scientist I get a hold of, and I go, okay, why is our atmosphere still here? And they say gravity. Of course, it's gravity. It has to be gravity. And the logic argument is, well, because if it wasn't gravity, we'd all be dead. And I go, yeah, but what if gravity isn't strong enough to hold it down? So, well, it is. It's like, really? Because again, you put a vacuum chamber above me right now. You pull the valve, the air equalizes instantly. We all heard about the submarine accidents and deep sea oil rigs and stuff like that. The pressure accidents are horrific. They're horrible, and they happen in a fraction of a second. Thank God, nobody suffers, but it's bad, right? So if I can't even keep the air in my room from going upstairs, why is our atmosphere still here and sitting next to the biggest vacuum chamber of all time? And more than that, I tell people, I go, where exactly is the bleeding edge of space, and tell me what happens there. And every scientist I give it to just glitches out. They'd be like, what about meteors? And it's like, what, really? You're just going to pivot just like that? Or we're not going to know, and we're not going to talk about it because they do not know. In fact, one more real quick on that one, which was I talked to two young physics PhDs in Canada, and I said, and I threw that. I go, so what happens? Why is our atmosphere still here? I go, and one of them, they almost said. They go, well, because there's more. I go, more gravity? So outside, there's more gravity than inside. Your PhD's in physics, and you were just going to say more gravity, weren't you? Even though gravity is a theory. It's not proven. It is absolutely a theory. Every scientist, Neil deGrasse Tyson, God bless him, has told many times. He said, gravity is a theory. We can't tell you what it is. We can only tell you what it does.
I'll listen to you talk about many conspiracy theories, Mark, but I will not have you call Neil deGrasse Tyson a scientist on this podcast. That's a step too far.
You're right. He is a public. No, I will give him credit though. He's done more help to us than harm. Hell, with that one line, where he was talking about the Felix. There's the irony, right? The Felix Baumgartner Red Bull jump, which he thought was scientifically dishonest because they were showing too much of a curve, and he didn't get it. And I was really surprised considering how much stage work he does and how many shows he's done. Because I've talked.
Wait a minute. So Felix, is it Felix? He was not happy because I remember that. He wasn't happy because they showed too much they showed a curve when
because and I was a little surprised.
I didn't know
that Neil went. Yeah, it was on stage. It was to a group of students.
Wow.
And it wasn't like a secret bootleg recording, and you guys have seen it before. I made a special video on it because I use it to physics people. I go, because he said that the curvature they were showing was way too severe for the Red Bull jump, and he knows why, because it's freaking Red Bull. They want to exaggerate it. It's like, look, he's practically to the moon. It's really, because you're only supposedly like 20 miles up, but whatever. Let's not mince words. So. And Neil says at that altitude, in fact, he had somebody bring out an inflatable globe on stage. And he's like, look, he goes, you're 2 millimeters above this beach ball, right? That stuff is flat. And it's like, oh, that is gold. I am so using all of this. And but he was calling the Red Bull thing scientifically dishonest. And it's like, dude, you should have really just played to him, because Red Bull, I've talked to some of the not Red Bull producers, but other producers. And I said, well, actually, one of them I think was tied to Red Bull. And I go, why did you use that shot? Right. That severe curvature. It's like, he goes, because it's a good shot, isn't it? I go, yeah, it's a good dramatic shot, but you're not in freaking space. And that's what Neil's point was. And so I throw that at people and I say, the reason why I say that is, he goes, you do not see a curvature from that altitude. And remember, he's 20 miles up, right? I have people that say they can see the curvature from the beach or a balloon or a mountain. And so many people from airplanes say they see the curvature, and I go, no, you're falling into the George Orwell trap, which is you want to see the curvature. There's a big difference, and which is why I put that challenge out there. I go, take a picture, hold the straight edge up to it, make sure it's not clouds or make sure it's a clear day, and then send it to me and tell me you still see the curvature, and they don't. So Neil, he helped me. So, but yes, he is a public speaker. He does not do debate. He runs a planetarium. He's he's got great stage presence. I'll give him that. He could have sold anything. He could have done a motivational speaker, self-help. He could have done stuff for corporate things. He's good on stage, and that's why he replaced Carl Sagan so easily. When Carl Sagan left, the whole billions and billions thing, Neil had his own little hook, and it worked. So he doesn't like me either.
He surprised me.
No, he doesn't like me because I can speak fairly well, and he doesn't like that. In fact, he made a comment on something. He didn't mention me by name because I don't care how intelligent and articulate they seem. Right? And it was in context of blah blah blah, and I think it was behind the curve. And it's like, come on, man. It's like I knew a few things about a few things, and
before we let you go, Mark, because we've taken up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
What are you working on next?
Next, what am I working on next? I've done the Fast Earth clues. Mostly conferences, because the pandemic, we couldn't do really a lot of conferences. Karen B was doing conferences on the East Coast, but now we're doing a few more. So I'm kind of prepping for that. Doing Strange World on a regular basis, trying to rebuild after Patricia left, trying to figure out where we're going with that. It's the 10-year anniversary of the Flat Earth Clues, so we're spending the year every couple episodes breaking down. I'm revisiting the clues and doing like color commentary on those. Other than that, just kind of keeping the fires lit, keeping people going, doing interviews, helping out wherever I can.
Are you going to re-release the Flat Earth Clues? So it's like in like an anniversary.
No, probably not re-release them, but don't know what I'll do with the clues. They've aged pretty well, so I mean, nothing. I've never had to backtrack on any of the stuff. So no, just kind of revisiting them, not re-releasing them. I don't think even. I mean, if I did, I suppose I could hype them up with better graphics and throw VO at them and different AI packages and polish them up. But I mean, considering how well they did using Windows Live Movie Maker and a cheap $20 microphone, I don't know if polishing it up would even help. In fact, I knew there was a cutoff point to where I was asking people if they wanted more clues. And it's like, no, this 2-hour block of clues seemed to be the right amount. And other people, every once in a while, somebody say, "Hey, if you make a new clue," and I put it out there, it's like, no, the originals what did pretty well. So again, I go where I'm needed. I try to say yes whenever I can, and people ask me to do something.
I would like to see you go on Simon Dan, that the UK guy that does the debunks on flat earthers, and he's got a new project going where he's asking everybody to do a measurement of the Earth.
Simon Dan and Professor Dave and McKeegan and some of those others, I try to remind people, look, they're just, in the end, they're just reaction channels to our content. I mean, and it's frustrating to us because they get verified, they get sponsors, they get their little checkbox fast. You want to go against Flat Earth, dude, you can get a pretty fast channel going up and running.
I've noticed that.
And and yet at the same time, YouTube tells me, even though once I passed 100K, it's like, yeah, we're not giving you your plaque, and you're never going to be monetized again, because
they said they're not giving you plaque. They owe you plaque, bastards.
Yeah, I know. So I had two. People felt bad for me. So several people that listen to my stuff, they actually custom made. In fact, I've got. I don't put it behind me for various reasons, but yeah, there's one of my plaques right there. that was made by a fan. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and another one made an artistic version in clay, which was kind of cool. But yeah, they also said, "Oh yeah, you're not making money off of it ever again." It's controversial, and but I will take it for credit for some things, even though it's not great. Those stupid stickers now they put under the videos, the Wikipedia stickers for whatever topic it is. Yeah, we did that. That was that was when Google and the United States government, came to arrangements, and Google said, "Okay, we're going to put a wiki banner under anything that we see controversial." To where now they even put it under the troll videos. So like when Simon Dan makes a flat Earth video, instant wiki sticker.
I've seen it.
Yeah, and
you mean this one? That's on your last interview with us.
Yeah, and this one will get it too. And you don't even have to put flat Earth in the title anymore. They've got it to where if they know it's me or they know it's David or other people, oh no, the wiki sticker goes on there. I don't know who clicks on the freaking wiki sticker, but they got to do something. But the wiki sticker, we were the first wiki sticker they came up with, and now they do it for other things. I think there's at least like 20 out there.
Yeah, we get a reptilian one.
There's a reptilian
yes,
wiki sticker now?
We get one since we've started to put our stuff back on YouTube.
Is that true? I don't know this.
No, yes, we get the reptilian one, Lee. Yes.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
Wow. Yeah. Again, that was I got to remind people. I put it on my channel. That. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's kind of end with that. Let me see if I can find the. Nah, we don't have to. It's fine. The if you guys remember the congressional hearing, there was, I think it was done on a weekend where they brought in the Google people, and they were all kind of doing it kind of tongue in cheek. It's like, well, what are you doing? And again, out of all the topics she could have brought up, she brought up us, right? Yeah. Where it's like, okay, we're going to ban snake oil and false flag and stuff, but we're going to recommend flat Earth less. And the congressman is like, whoa, wait. So if people type in flat Earth, and they were going over and they were kind of smiling while they're saying it, it's like, oh crap. And then next thing you know, I have people calling me. It's like, are you being recommended less? It's like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah. For those first 3 years, we were nonstop binge topic for so many things. And then they decided to take the foot off the gas. So.
Oh, I'd say two things, but I suppose there's three things now because of the COVID vaccine. They went after pretty hard. But like we'll say like the more like, because the COVID vaccine stuff, I don't even consider conspiracy theory now. Do you know what I mean? It's too rooted in like the system anyway to be considered like a fringe conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But the only two things that I've seen attacked quite vehemently were flat Earth. That's just gone after, and I don't know if you paid any attention to the work that Ashton Forbes was doing. On the you've seen the video. It's the orbs circling the
the flight, the missing flight,
and it gets zapped. Like we know Ashton reasonably well. He's coming back on with us soon. I've never seen a single person be gone after as heavy as people went after him. For what? For no apparent reason. He's got a UFO video with a plane zap. It makes no difference. It's the same as I don't understand why the flat Earth thing was gone after so much if there's not something to it. Because if you think the world's flat and John down the road doesn't think the world's flat, makes no fucking difference to anybody.
Right.
No difference.
But they when they went after it, it was too late. In fact, I'll let me get this one shot in. The videos on my channel, I'll send you some links after I'm done. Which was when they figured out what was going on. There was, I think it was a French developer. It doesn't take many programmers to, like recommended for you, on the right hand side of YouTube. That was all programmed by one guy. And this one guy, he was looking and he's going, and he was talking about why things are recommended for you. And this was when YouTube, again, it's the biggest television network in the world. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, you're right.
And he goes, think about this, out of all the thousands of topics he could have brought up, he brings up one. And he goes, well, if the average person that's new to flat Earth gets in and they watch 20 videos in a row, because that was the average, because flat Earth is like, what the hell? They just keep click, 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 click. I'm skipping work, click, 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 click. It's like, forget the marriage. And he goes, what do you think we're going to recommend? He goes, YouTube, he didn't say it, but basically YouTube found their binge topic, the topic that got the most traction. The problem is that what was being recommended based on the algorithm was pro flat Earth. So people were watching 20 videos in a row, and each one was like, yeah, flat Earth's great. Flat Earth is cool. Flat Earth is really super interesting. And by the time they got to 20, they were in, right? You know, that's straight up brainwashing, you know. And so that's when they had to change the algorithm. They had to wait for the big channels to start making fun of it. And now when you go and you type flat Earth, you know, there's all these massive channels, and almost everyone is you know, taking a crack at it in one form or another, because they're afraid of going the other way. And but it's too late. It's too late. By the time they decided they were going to take their foot off the gas, I mean, 3 years is such a long time in social media, that's when we were everywhere. And now new platforms. I love the fact that kids, like in TikTok, because they're so young, they don't have any content of their own. They just start grabbing stuff from other places. So they were grabbing clips of flat Earth from YouTube, compiling them in TikTok, and then we're taking the compilations and putting them back on YouTube, and it just becomes cyclical. So great, wonderful. Thanks, kids. Really, really, really appreciate it. And sorry, last thing. I love the fact that because Behind the Curve was picked up by Netflix, I now every year, every couple month, at least once or twice a month, I get to do schools. I get to come into classrooms video-wise on different, take your pick, science, psychology, sociology, whatever it is, because it's on the syllabus. I've asked, you know, because teachers will invite me. It's like, or kids will say, oh yeah, you want to talk to us about blah, blah, blah. And I go, why? Well, because we had to watch Behind the Curve. And what do you mean had to watch? It's on the syllabus.
That's
everything
wild.
I
didn't expect that. Wow.
From junior high up through university. I've helped 2 different people do their dissertations on flat Earth, including one from the Sorbonne. It's like, what the hell? And the reason is because the teachers frame it as alternative thinking. Mm-hmm. And because it's Netflix endorsed, they know they'll get more engagement from their students. It's like, if there's anything to get the students to watch, it's like, all right, cool. I go, some of the students are laugh, but every class I do, I'll get phone calls or emails after the fact. It was like, I don't think it's even legal for me to talk to you outside of school, but whatever. It's fine. No, seriously, you worry about that, right? It's like, how old are you? You know what? Don't tell me. Just ask me the questions. Don't send me anything. Don't get weird.
Well, thanks for coming on the show again, Mark.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Wonderful, just like it was last time. If you'll hang on for a minute while our little intro plays out, that'll be awesome.
Sure.
Make sure you share the video, people. Make sure you do all the subscribe stuff and all that jazz. Thanks.
By the way, just type in Flat Earth Mark. That's it. Any search engine, you'll find me.
We'll give us if you email us whatever you want to be put in the description. It'll be there, mate.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Okay.
Awesome. See you later, guys. Bye bye.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Why are you a conspiracy theorist? And I said, why isn't everybody a goddamn conspiracy theorist?
This is the real research. Literally have an alien base, and they are literally communicating.
I don't have a whole lot of time.
Have you personally had any experience with interdimensional beings?
What we're thinking of as aliens, they have infiltrated a lot of aspects of military intelligence. And they are not what they claim to be.
We leave you much that is undone.
That's one small step for man.
There are great ideas undiscovered.
Visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars.
Remove one of truth's protective layers.
There's a monolith.
They want those major population centers wiped out.
Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
One giant leap for mankind.
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
Those challenges are yours.
We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
There are places to go beyond belief. Beyond belief.